Baresi was a class man, a class player. And
even at the age he was, you could see he was just a cut above. He really was. He was at the back. It was just so easy for him. I mean, you know, it was so easy for him. He reads the game so well and positions himself.
To be on his side into the pitch was for me really like a dream come true.
It came about at the end of the season. We had done very well, obviously, finished second. And the team had gone away at the end of the season to a pre-season tour. I think we went to, it was Malaysia and all that side of the world we'd been to. We got back and Graham pulled me in the office and said, "We've had an inquiry from Europe about you, but we're only going to let them speak to you if they come back with £1 million." And his next words were, "So I think we can forget about that one," he said. So, yeah, but they did come back a little while later and, yeah, we went and chatted and it all went through and there I was, a Milan player. You know, you have aspirations always to play for bigger and greater clubs that have achieved amazing things, and Milan is pretty much right up there. You know, and the thing about it, you can always tell when you're at a great club or whatever. Like great players, usually you refer to one name. And I think it's the same with, you don't have to say AC Milan, you just say Milan, because everybody knows who you mean. And I think that says it all. And to go and to get the opportunity to play for Milan was something, having finished second and scored the number of goals I did. It was sort of the next challenge for me was to go to somewhere where defending is so much more organised and they are quite ruthless in the way they play the game. And for me to learn, educate myself. And it was one of those moments that if it had been a mafia movie, I'd have been very worried walking down those steps to go in there, because we arrive at the tailors and we walk down these steps and there's always these very narrow wooden steps as you walk down. And so you walk down, go around the corner, and then there's racks and racks of suits, you know, half made and whatever as you go. And then at the back, there's a little office. And so myself, Eddie Plumley, Graham Taylor, the agent that did the deal for me, and obviously Elton John, we walk down the steps. And we get to there and find it opens up and there's the office. And in there, it really did look like a scene from the mafia. There was these guys walking in these very slick suits, as you can imagine, looking very cool, and sat down at the table, hat on, coat over his shoulder and the scarf. It literally was typical of all of that. And it was Giuseppe Farina.
Farina is a weird man, I would say, because it was it's unbelievable moment to AC Milan to have him as a president, because what was funny that we used to stay for one day before the match. We used to stay in Milanello, the training ground, one day before, but he rented Milanello for a wedding party.
I remember.
So you remember?
I remember, yeah. You know, and it was a difficult one to make the decision, because finally that night, having met Farina and the others there, we went on to the night with the decision and negotiations and stuff. And it wasn't really until, I think probably about 11 o'clock at night, when I finally said the decision, yes, I would do it. And that was it. That was me no longer a Watford player, and I was going to be signing for AC Milan. I remember I arrived at the airport, and when I arrived to sign, and plane stops on the thingway, and someone comes in and they say to me, "Can we have you?" And they take my passport off me, which never had that before, you know. So they take the passport and they've gone. And then I wait for a car, comes and picks me up and whatever, and then we go in. And as we enter the terminal building, they've already cleared me through passport control. So literally I just walked straight through, and the doors open and there are just Milan fans everywhere. And this continues all the way through into the car, which they had for me, all the way to Milan, where I was going to do the sign and the doctor and all that sort of thing. And all these people are overtaking, hanging out of cars, waving, shouting. It was just the most incredible thing. So I knew I'd arrived at a truly big club, yeah, for sure.
Well, I knew about Luther because I always been a fan of English football. But to be honest, I didn't know him deeply. But Luther, he scored about 100 goals, no, in in his first part with Watford. So was a bomber, we say in Italy, a striker, a very important striker. So I was very, very happy about his signing, and because I could try better with my English with him.
and you with your Italian with me. We had some fun. We had some fun on the coach, didn't we? Traveling to a friend.
Yeah, do you remember?
Speaking English and me trying to speak Italian.
Yeah,
trying.
Of course, Luther he told about his passport, but his football passport was clear, so he could score many goals for AC Milan, and so the expectations were very, very high. I think that the team was not ready enough to support such a forward as Luther, and the club was starting a path that would have lead to the greatness of the future.
It probably, as you said, happened for me probably 2 seasons too early, because 2 seasons later.
Yeah, it would have been
Milan really
completely different. Exactly. And it was said to me, because I was very, and I am very next to you, now close to you with my, and the team was not ready. Because we was a very young team, with very young players. And I think we didn't support you in the right way. But anyway, I remember that time as the beginning of something great, and you were part of it. That's I think the most important thing to me.
When you get there and you have Baresi, who is, even at the age he was, you could see he was just a cut above. He really was a class player even back then. And for me, I always felt that he would have been better for us if he had played in midfield, for the way the team was. Because if he had played in midfield in that particular team that I was in at that time, I think he'd have made a bigger difference, because he was at the back. It was just so easy for him. I mean, it was so easy for him. He reads the game so well and positions himself so well. And if it came to it, and it was a case of this person's going to score, or I'm going to have to just take him down. You take him down. His decision making was just so good. He was just such a good player.
Baresi was a class man, a class player, and really, I really learned a lot from him. Just a few years before, it was 1983. In 1978, I was at the stadium to watch him winning the 10th title of AC Milan. And I always been a AC Milan supporter, so to be on his side into the pitch was for me really like a dream come true.
One thing I knew that, especially on home debuts, I always score on my home debut. I either score in the very first game or I always score in the home debut, always. So they got me into a press conference in the morning, and I don't know whatever possesses me, why I said this. And so they said to me, how do you think you'd do today? And I said in my perfect Italian, oggi mi ha fatto il mio primo gol in Italia. And I'm like, and I said that as well, and it was just mad. And I actually did score the goal, and I did go a bit crazy when I scored it, because it was right down here where the tunnel end as well, is where I scored the goal. So it was, and so that was where a lot of really supporters.
You're like a magician. You can predict the future. Okay.
Yes, almost.
Probably we didn't, as I told before, we didn't help him to show his qualities, his way to score. He just told that give me the right ball and I'm gonna score. At that time, we were not the kind of team yet.
Football for me is a very simple game. If I'm playing for whoever they are, I will do everything in my power to score the goals that I'm out there to do. All I need from my teammates is for them to understand where and when I need the ball, and if they can do that, then I'll do the rest. And at Watford, we had worked that out really well.
And it was a sin, no? Because Luther could have affected on the game much more. If he would have arrived one year later or 2 years later, I would say.
I think it was probably about a month left of the season, and there has been lots of talk since about February, March about that Milan are looking at different players, but that's when you're at clubs, that sort of thing goes on all the time. And I had, I have one or two phone calls that people ring you up and say, look, if you don't stay, would you consider coming here or there or whatever? And those sort of conversations were had, every now and then over that period of time. Manchester United, Torino. The reason and I sometimes think about this, is I never went to Torino because I went to Italy to play for AC Milan, and I didn't want to play for anybody else in Italy. So once that looked like it was coming to end, then Torino then wasn't really an option that I would have taken. I think if I'd stayed at Milan for 2-3 years, and then because of the players, you heard it, some people like that coming in, they were moving you out, then I would have stayed in Italy and gone to Torino or go somewhere else. But at that time, I probably thought, no, I would prefer to go back to England. Then it was a case of which club to choose. And the thing that made me choose Watford is I knew what I was going back into. I knew if I went to Watford, I would score 20 goals a season.
No, I was really sad, because to me Luther was a fantastic teammate, honestly. And of course, when there are some decisions and you are very close to a player, to a man, is always something that is not good. We consider it the golden age for AC Milan. No? Of course, Berlusconi invested a lot of money, and he also chose a new coach, a new coach that brought a new mentality to the club, to the team. I think we can consider a revolution not only in AC Milan but in the Italian football. Yeah. The arrival of Sacchi in the first team. But what was really unbelievable at that time, that we used to play a friendly match on Wednesday, and Sacchi meant that game as a Sunday match. So
as a real game, prepare properly
as a real game. So at least for the first half, where the first 11 were fielded, was unbelielievable. And Gullit, Van Basten show, even in that friendly games, the club brought in some very good players, but the attitude of the players was great. Was great. And that
is very important. Yes, that makes a huge difference in the game. That had parallels to what Graham Taylor did at Watford, because the attitude of all of the players that came through was all about the game. We had games such as that where we played friendlies, as games, and we played those games as if it was a Saturday game, exactly the same way. We prepare in exactly the same way and go about the game. And that mentality we used in training and carried it all the way through. It's funny you say about Sacchi, because he changed it, because you played a back four, which was, which was phenomenal with that back four. And, nobody's ever seen anything like the way you guys went about playing the game. It was, I used to watch it on the television all the time, and we'd go, look at these guys play.
Yes, it was. We played four at the back, and it was like one. No, the way we move all together. Yeah, that was about the way we used to train. We used to train. Yeah, and of course Franco was a leader inside.
He was the general.
Yes, the general.
He was the general. Absolutely, he was the general. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It was phenomenal watching him play, and there were so many things that reminded me of playing football in England by the way that they were playing, because he used things that he saw in England, but adapted that to the Italian players, the Dutch players that are playing, and it just worked. Absolute treat.
Lidl, that was really clever, no? he used to tell me, Filippo, if we lose you on the pitch, it's okay. But if they lose Maradona, could be a problem to them. So he asked me to mark him man to man all over the pitch. Yeah, all over the pitch. And so I had to follow him. You have to anticipate him. If you let him get the ball and then 9 out of 10 he can skim you.
Yeah.
And so it was a really unbelievable player. But there were at that time in Italy unbelievable players, Zico, Platini, but I would say Elkier, Danish. In every club had very fantastic foreigner players at that time.
Yeah, but but Filippo, you also had Italian players also,
Sure.
which were exceptional as well.
Yeah,
Players everywhere.
Well, Altobelli,
Yeah.
Pruzzo up front. At that time, I think the quality of the players in Italy was phenomenal. Yeah, I like this. It was unbelievable. That sometimes things happens by chance, no? I received a call from Caricola, I think was a partner of Gianluca Vialli, that was appointed as a manager at Watford, and he called me asking about Iglitare. Iglitare was a central forward with us, Brescia, where I was playing with, and now he's the sport director of Lazio in Italy. He's an Albanian player, was an Albanian player. And he was asking me about him, if it would have been good enough to play in Watford as a center forward, blah, blah, blah. And so I told him, yes, he's a good player. And at the end of the call, Caricola told me, we are also looking for a central defender. We have just signed Ramon Vega. I told him, I told him, I haven't signed yet with Brescia. I don't know what's gonna happen with Brescia. And the call finished. Just a couple of weeks later, Vialli called me up. I was on holiday, and I told him, okay, I come over, and I wanna be a part of the team, of the club, and then I flew to Watford, to London, and I signed the contract. Because I always had this dream, to play in the English football. The atmosphere of English football is unique.
Tommy. Fans never forget Filippo.
And Watford Vicarage Road was really. I know that you probably don't trust me, but really, I ask you to trust me. Watford and Vicarage Road was something that I still have in my under my skin, honestly.
I think if Watford had the opportunity to have signed him while I was still playing at Watford at the back, I could imagine him playing with the likes of John McClelland and people like that. It would have been sensational at the back. He's quick, reads the game well, and between him and John, I don't think we'd have conceded many goals at all.
To me, honestly, to play there, to play in Stockport, in Gillingham, Walsall, or it was the English game was to play in England, was to play where the football was born.
It's that mentality of reading the game, positioning yourself in the best place all the time. And if the tackle had to be made, he'd make the tackle, but quite often intercepts and makes the striker make the mistake, give the ball away and whatever. And that's what all the best players do. That's what they do. They make you make the mistake. And, those are all the strengths of a very good player, and experience and the ability that enabled him to do that and be that player even at the age he was.
Thank you, Luther.
No,
Thank
it
you.
is what the truth is about, and you tell it, and that's how it goes.
The clip of the goal. I have in my phone. I put on my Instagram profile. I have also another clip of when I was booked in Main Road. The first game we lost 3-0. But to me, it was unbelievable that I was there into the referee locker room with Kevin Keegan and Stuart Pearce.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it was like I just say.
Yeah, and you had goosebumps. Goosebumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think anybody that comes to Watford and they give themselves to the football club and their football, their supporters embrace that, because you don't have to be the most talented, the most skillful at anything, but if you give 100% and always try, and I don't think Watford are alone in this. I think football supporters will take to that person because they see themselves what they would do.
I always tell them to the people. I always tell this to the people when they ask me about Watford or when what be the atmosphere, the supporters. Yes, that's true. That's true. Thanks to the Pozzo family, they invited me in December to be there and watching the game, and to have that unbelievable experience was really thrilling. It was really an emotional experience.
Hey, click here for more video. Hey, click. Come on. Click. Come on, bro. Done? Thank you. Thank you. Come on, guys.